Hi, Upper East Siders and my lovely glow-getters. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to our series where we follow Puff Diddy's federal court proceedings day by day. Today is day 10. At least I can say this has been worthwhile. Today, Diddy's mother attended court. She hadn't appeared in a few days, but she was at today's hearing. Also present was Diddy's sister Keisha, who comes every day. None of Diddy's children are in the courtroom. His mother was heard saying she couldn't make it because she is attending her grandchildren's graduation and prom. On Thursday, prosecutor Maroon Comedy announced that the first witness called today would be Diddy's former assistant Capricorn Clark. I was eagerly awaiting that testimony, and indeed, today we'll have a long discussion with you about Clark's statement. As I said, Capricorn Clark is one of Diddy's former assistants. Two other former assistants, George Kaplan and David James, had already testified. We'd also heard Clark's name during Kid Cudi's testimony. Kid Cudi claimed she learned that Diddy would come to her house from Capricorn Clark. The jury entered the courtroom, and prosecutors called Diddy's former marketing director and former assistant Capricorn Clark to the witness stand. Clark was the 17th witness called by the prosecution. She will be questioned by U.S. Deputy Attorney General Mitzi Steiner. Clark said she entered the music industry shortly after graduating high school, starting with an internship at Def Jam Records under Diddy's former marketing director. She testified that both her parents died shortly after that, forcing her to start life early. After working at Death Row Records, run by Suge Knight, Diddy's rival and the show's main antagonist, she said in 2004 she began working at Diddy's company, Bad Boy Entertainment, as his personal assistant. After a brief departure in 2006, she returned in 2007 as marketing director for Sean John Women, a line under Diddy's Sean John fashion brand, which originally targeted men and then expanded. She rose to global brand director in 2008, but testified she was fired in 2012. From 2016 to 2018, she served as Cassie's creative director. Clark will explain in detail why she left and returned in each of those years. Clark recalled that on her first day working for Diddy in 2004, after 9 p.m., Diddy took her to Central Park. He brought up Death Row Records, saying she had a connection to Suge Knight, or else I'll have to kill you. Her bodyguard stood silently nearby during the threat. Clark said, when he added, "I have no connection to him, you'll see," she felt she couldn't earn his trust. She believed he didn't realize she'd actually worked for Suge Knight. Clark testified that she heard Diddy mention guns once. She said at an MTV event they both attended, where 50 Cent was present. She heard Diddy say in the elevator, "I don't like drama, I like guns," spoken quite earnestly. Clark recounted a darker incident. Diddy once accused her of stealing jewelry he lent her. On a trip from New York to Miami, she was tasked with transporting the jewelry, but the bag went missing before reaching the airport. Diddy flew on, leaving Clark with a bodyguard who interrogated her for hours and searched her apartment. The next day, the same guard took her to a locked, empty office to administer a lie detector test performed by a man who claimed prior FBI experience. She said she was terrified. He warned, "If I don't get a reading, you'll end up in the East River." For 5 days straight, she was taken there daily and subjected to tests. She didn't report the incident to the police due to a confidentiality agreement. Judge Arun Subramani later ruled that portion of the testimony inadmissible to the jury. After the 5-day test period, a bodyguard informed her she could return to work. She noted Diddy never asked where she'd been or referenced the polygraph tests, and she didn't know whether the jewelry was recovered. Clark described working as Diddy's personal assistant from 9 a.m. to 4 a.m. the next day without meal breaks. She said he told her she would lose her job if she didn't complete tasks. Good nights included only about 4 hours of sleep, and she developed stress-related hair loss. Her annual salary was $65,000. From 2004 to 2006, she testified that HR at Bad Boy presented a document showing $80,000 owed in overtime for 3 months. She said the paper was shown to Diddy, who tore it up, and it was never paid. While other assistants had worked long hours, none claimed unpaid overtime, raising the question of whether Clark's situation was unique. She said Diddy had hotel rooms booked under aliases like Frank Black or Frank White, and she unpacked clothes, shoes, and personal items each stay. Clark testified Diddy carried a bag with illicit substances and a camera kit containing 4 cameras and baby oil. She also brought candles to light rooms, and after stays, she checked rooms for traces, sometimes finding oily handprints. Clark said Diddy's drug use increased over time and that a man known as One Stop supplied substances in LA, delivered either to her or to Diddy. She wondered whether One Stop had been identified and whether his real identity was known. Clark testified Diddy asked her fewer than 10 times to procure illicit substances. When asked by lawyers if it was between 10 to 20 or 20 to 50 requests, she said no, it was less than 10. She witnessed Diddy offering drugs to friends and girlfriends. During a 2006 trip to France, Diddy asked her to get drugs, not for himself, and she said when she asked who they were for, he said, "Not for me." She said she arranged for security to get them because she didn't want to, citing her mother's death from drug use. Clark also acquired prescription medication for Diddy, sometimes under her name, to avoid quotas on his. She testified she counted 100,000 euros in cash from a European club performance, believing it was stored in Diddy's bedroom safe. Trigger warning, discussion of physical violence ahead. Clark recalled an incident in summer 2006 at Diddy's Miami house. At the gate, Diddy told her she wouldn't leave that house that weekend. Later, he asked her to escort a guest in Miami. She complied for about an hour before Diddy called asking about her location. When back, he rebuked her, "You want a life, but not here. I told you not to leave." The next day, she told Diddy's chef she hated being stuck there, which the chef relayed. She wondered if she was being tattled on. Clark testified Diddy confronted her, stomped her about 27 meters at 75% force. A bodyguard intervened, telling Diddy to stop and instructing Clark to pack. She said her boundaries had been crossed and she quit. Clark returned later in 2006, but in a different role, as marketing director for Sean John Women, so she wouldn't be in Diddy's personal entourage. "I didn't want that closeness," she said. During her testimony and in sketches, Clark often appeared tearful and her voice shook. She said in December 2011, Diddy unexpectedly showed up at her Los Angeles home and pounded on the door. Through the peephole, she saw his pants torn above the knee, his underwear exposed, and he looked enraged. When she opened the door, he held a gun, yelling, "Why didn't you tell me?" and demanded answers about Kid Cudi. Clark testified that Diddy, still holding the gun, told her, "Get dressed, we're going to kill her." When she tried to protest, he replied, "I don't care what you want, go get dressed." She feared for her life, stating this was his first visit to her LA home, and she had never seen him with a weapon before. Clark, Diddy, and a bodyguard then drove to Kid Cudi's house. Clark called Cassie urging, "Stop him, he's going to kill her," but Cassie replied she couldn't stop him. Clark realized Kit was en route home. In the car, Diddy demanded to know whom Clark had called. The last number on her phone logs was a burner Cassie used. Diddy angrily asked, "What is this number?" Cassie had used a burner to contact Kid Cudi, and Diddy learned the number from Clark's call. Shortly after, Kid Cudi pulled up in an Escalade outside Diddy's home and accelerated away with Diddy's vehicle following. Clark described the chase as seemingly endless, but less than a minute. They went to a nightclub nearby. Diddy commanded her to call Cassie and tell her, "I'm with her, and she's not letting me go until you get here," holding Clark hostage until Cassie arrives. Cassie answered, "I'm coming to get you." Clark stated that Diddy then told them they had to convince Kid Cudi that the raid on Diddy's home wasn't their fault. He threatened, "If you don't convince her, I'll ruin all your lives." Clark said Diddy threatened all of them if they went to the police. Cassie asked, "Do you really think he'd do that?" Clark replied yes. They then returned to Diddy's rented house in LA, and trigger warning, it gets worse. Clark said Diddy, dressed only in a robe and underwear, opened the door and immediately began kicking Cassie with full force, using only his legs. She said Diddy kicked her repeatedly while she and a bodyguard watched. Cassie shrank under each blow in silence. Clark said if she tried to intervene, Diddy threatened harm to her as well. Clark said he and the security asked for help, but nobody intervened. At the bodyguard's direction, Clark left, while Diddy continued the assault on Cassie, still on the ground. Before leaving, Clark called Cassie's mother, Regina Ventura, and said, "Please help her. I can't call the police, but you can." Regina answered, "I'll handle it," and hung up. The jury was shown again the December 23, 2011 email sent by Cassie under the name Veronica Bang to Capricorn Clark and her mother. A highly detailed courtroom sketch was displayed, praised for its color and detail. Clark said he didn't recall if he responded. In 2012, arson investigators contacted her about Kid Cudie's vehicle fire. Clark said she hung up and did not provide a statement, concluding, "I wanted it all to end." Clark testified that after the late 2011 incidents, she told Diddy she was angry he'd hidden Cassie and Kid Cudi's relationship. Diddy allegedly replied, "I have to kill you and I have to mess up that woman's face." Clark said he threatened her about 50 times from December 2011 through the following summer. After that December incident, Diddy told her she couldn't be friends with Cassie. You can only talk for business. Their relationship changed significantly from that point. In early 2012, Clark reported the alleged kidnapping incident and Diddy's threats to kill Kid Cudi and beat Cassie to HR and Harvey Pierre, ex-president of Bad Boy. Pierre reportedly told her, "It's weird, but things will be okay." Clark said she was fired in August 2012. While on vacation, HR still sent tasks. She said this was because Diddy was angry she didn't tell him about Cassie's relationship with Kid Cudi. Diddy tried to punish her even while she was away. Ultimately, she was terminated in 2012. After the termination, Clark said Diddy told her she will never work again, that none of those people were her friends, and threatened to push her to take her own life. He wanted her to kill herself. Later in fall 2012, she reached a wrongful termination settlement via Diddy's lawyers. The amount was not revealed. Clark said despite being fired in 2012, she returned in 2016 as Cassie Ventura's creative director, unable to find work and wanting to rebuild her life. She reported to Diddy, who approved Cassie's projects. During this period, she noticed Cassie's drug use increased. She left that role in 2018. After Cassie sued Diddy in 2023, Clark hired an attorney describing the case as traumatizing. In April 2024, she met with Diddy's lawyers to discuss potentially returning to work for one of his companies. She said, "I want my life back." But she never heard from them again. Today, she is testifying. It seems to me Diddy's side invited her to silence her. If you ask me, that appears intentional. But why did she attend that meeting? What did she hope for? What does a life back even mean? We don't fully understand that. With that, prosecutors' questioning of Capricorn Clark concluded. The court took a brief recess. After the break, defense attorney Mark Agnifilo will begin cross-examination. Meanwhile, reporters exiting the courtroom noted Diddy's mother wiping her tears during Clark's emotional testimony and avoiding looking at Diddy, though she glanced back at him as she left. I ask, what was she crying about? That question goes to Diddy's mother. Early in our series, I believe in video 2 or 3, I shared her statement. "They're trying to portray my son as a monster. My son is not a monster. He's the sweetest boy." Perhaps she cried again because she realized how devastating these allegations about Kid Cudi might be. I can't find another explanation. Now, Capricorn Clark's cross-examination begins, and I'm already stunned. I'm keen to hear your thoughts. How will you interpret what you're about to hear? Do you think this testimony supports claims that Diddy organized and ran a criminal enterprise? Considering the other assistants' statements, have these insider testimonies backed the prosecution's allegation? Do the threats, guns, drugs, and illegal actions meet the threshold for federal convictions? Did Capricorn Clark seem credible? I eagerly await your feedback. Thank you once again for being part of my community, and I look forward to seeing you in our future videos. Until then, stay beautiful, stay natural, and stay you.